It's perfectly normal and common that in relationships, sex becomes less and less frequent over time. But for some couples, that drop in their sex life happens more quickly than for others, and also more quickly than the partners would ideally want. And it often comes down to the fact that many men don't understand female bodies, female arousal response, and what actually works in terms of making her keen and interested. So if you'd like to know how to get your lady in the mood a lot more often, keep watching. My name is Helena Nista and I make videos that help you have the best sex of your life. And today we're discussing the best ways to get her in the mood. So Emily Nagoski, an excellent sex educator, has this wonderful dual control model where she talks about arousal and desire. And what she means by that is that when thinking about getting hot and bothered, we need to take into account not only what helps our arousal, but also what inhibits it. So there are things that accelerate desire, sexy outfit, sensual touch, the right kind of music, etc. And there are also things that reduce or inhibit desire. And these will be typically different for different people, but the main culprits here are stress, fatigue, overwhelm, resentment, etc. So let's talk about what that means practically. Most men have what's called a spontaneous desire. That spontaneous desire means that they don't need a lot to get ready and in the mood for sex. Men can typically get hard easily, and it doesn't take them much to get into the right headspace for sex. Usually it's just her saying, "Honey, I'd like to have sex tonight." And he doesn't need to think much or consider where he's at with his own sexual energy. He's typically in and ready whenever she is. Key word here being typically, because there are obviously exceptions to this rule. But now for women with their responsive desire, it's a very different story. When most women are asked, "Would you like to have sex tonight?" they could take it or leave it. Many are actually quite happy to just leave it, depending on how good the sex on offer is. If it's not great, that will probably make her even less keen. If it's fairly good, she'll be more likely to be in. And that responsive aspect of her desire means that in many cases she could be invited to have sex, even if she's currently feeling lukewarm about it. Many online articles and videos encourage men to surprise her with a kiss, to touch her gently, to embrace her from behind, to kiss her neck, etc. All these are good suggestions and can work in terms of creating that invitation for her body. So what I mean by that is that if she's currently feeling lukewarm about the prospect of having sex, touching her body in a way that she likes and that arouses her can create that kind of invitation for her that she can then respond to. So far, all good. And that makes sense, right? Well, there's nothing wrong with this picture other than the fact that it is incomplete. And here's where that dual control model created by Emily Nagoski comes into play and paints a much more complete picture here. So creating the right mood, touching her, kissing her, embracing her, maybe even twirling her around in a playful dance. All of these are accelerators when it comes to her desire. But you also need to take into account the brakes, because if the brakes are on at the same time, the accelerator is not going to work, or it's not going to work as well. And this is where it's best to have an open and honest conversation with your lady. Ask her, what inhibits your desire to have sex with me? What makes you maybe pull away when I am extending that sexual invitation to you? And then really listen. It's possible that she might not be fully aware of what it is for her, and she might need to give it a bit of thought. Or she might be able to give you a full list straight away. Either way, it's important to figure out if the brakes of her desire are on before you apply the accelerator. For some women, it might be a messy house or chores that are hanging over her head. And as long as she's aware of all the things that she still needs to get done today, she won't be responsive to your seductive efforts. If that's the case, what can you do about it? How can you help her out in her to-do list or in keeping the house clean so that these breaks aren't on for her? Maybe it's more so about some kind of upset, resentment, or emotional trigger that she's experiencing because of something that you did or said. If that's the case, what's needed here? Does she need a conversation about it, or an apology, or a change of behavior? Or maybe couples therapy is in order. Please don't leave it just to her to fix her desire, because that's an unfair and unproductive approach. Her desire, or lack thereof, is a relationship problem, not her problem. And you both need to address it. Lastly, I keep hearing in the comments under my videos from men who blame women for being too complicated sexually, for being the gatekeepers of sex, and for denying sex to their partners. This is a superficial attitude that indicates lack of understanding of women and of women's bodies. You see, we were biologically constructed to be this way. It's not that we're mean and we cherish making men miserable and sexless. Oh my god, no, not at all. Our bodies were built to assess very carefully whether we should have sex because of the huge and life-altering implications that a possible pregnancy places upon us. And yes, that's also the case when you're using protection and there's no chance of pregnancy. Our bodies are still wired to be very careful about agreeing to have sex. And secondly, just because the sex that you're having with her is good for you, doesn't mean that it's necessarily good for her. And if it's not good for her, she's probably not going to want it. A lot of men are not great in bed simply because they're uneducated in the beautiful art of pleasuring a woman well, or because their entire sexual knowledge is based on watching porn. Please don't learn from porn. It will not work for you and it will definitely not work for her. If you'd like an amazing source of information about her body, her erogenous zones, and all the best ways to seduce, arouse, and satisfy her in bed, I've got something that you'll love. My How to Pleasure Her online course is a complete program that will teach you how to be a fabulous lover and how to have her wanting more. And I feel very confident about recommending this program because of the fantastic feedback that I keep receiving from the men enrolled in it and from their partners. So if you'd like to learn more, check out the link in the description below. And I hope to see you there.